Hey guys, welcome to Found Flicks. Today I'll be looking at the Bye Bye Man coming out this January 13th. That's right, Friday the 13th. In case you didn't know, January is considered a dumping ground for movies. Usually stuff that wouldn't fly and higher profile release dates come out in this month to avoid any real competition from the big studios. This has changed slightly in recent years, but that is definitely the case with the Bye Bye Man. It's clearly wanted to get this out there with no other major releases around it. I also have to say, this might just take the crown for the worst title I've heard in a long time. There's nothing evocative or scary about it at all. I'm not sure what they were thinking with that. Plus, it's one of those titles that's just begging for negative reviews. Something like The Bye Bye Man is more like The Bore Bore Man, or say bye bye to your dignity if you pay to see The Bye Bye Man. But these are too easy, so instead of only using the title negatively, I thought it would be fun to think up some positive newspaper quotes. When it comes to The Bye Bye Man, you'll be saying hello, hello to terror, Peter Travers, Rolling Stone. Say bye bye to your pants because I shit them in fear, Chris Dandridge, Found Flicks. Wait a minute, I didn't say that. It's important to note that the movie has been on the shelf for 2 years, and it was actually shot in 2015. Sitting around unreleased that long is usually a sign that something isn't working fundamentally about the movie. Compounded with that, it was originally rated R, then cut down to PG-13 to appeal to a younger audience. They're basically doing whatever they can to hedge their bets and try to recoup some of their money on this thing. So just from these two facts alone, Bye Bye Man has a very difficult struggle to even have a chance of being a good movie. That's why it probably isn't much of a surprise that the movie is pretty terrible. The trailer didn't look groundbreaking, but I at least hope for some good jump scares. And even Ouija 2 and Lights Out were both PG-13 and had pretty scary moments. But this movie doesn't really deliver on any of that possibility at all. There's not even many attempts to create any kind of classic scares. It has a very few and only basic kind of jump scares. You know, something walks by in the background, or a Bye Bye Man standing behind someone. But these again are very few and far between. There's only one searching through a dark area shouting hello scene, a staple of pretty much every horror movie ever. But it's really short and has no tension whatsoever. He just looks around a bit and it's over. It's weird, and maybe all the actual scary scenes were cut to make it PG-13, so that all that's left is this neutered movie with no bite. The plot follows a trio of college kids that rent a house and discover there's something sinister waiting to be let free. The Bye Bye Man. And by the way, how the heck do these kids afford this house? I know this movie takes place in Wisconsin, so real estate is probably cheaper, but still, that's a big ass house. And of course, we don't ever hear about them working or ever see them at work or anything. It's just stupid. Anyway, the lead kid, Elliot, finds a nightstand in the basement with "Don't think, don't say it" scrawled repeatedly. He removes the paper and underneath he's written the Bye Bye Man, who I am now going to refer to as BBM from now on. It's just easier that way. Now that Elliot knows, he absentmindedly tells his girlfriend Sasha and best pal John, so now they too know the name, which is how their problems begin. BBM gets his power over you once you know his name. The name takes over your mind so that all you can think of is BBM. As the name becomes more ingrained in your mind, the BBM's control over the victim becomes more powerful, and he can manipulate their perspective, showing them visions or hallucinations. It eventually drives the person mad, and they become consumed by stopping the spread of the name. So basically, anyone they told the name has to die, and then in the end they kill themselves. That way no one else will know the name, and the BBM's terror stops spreading. This setup is basically the entirety of the movie. These three kids are trying to deal with the BBM taking over their minds and try to figure out how to stop it. That's about all there is to it. Yep. Which is made worse as the movie is slow as molasses, running nearly 2 hours long. This should have been like 80 minutes max and would have helped trim down a lot of the unnecessary exposition and slow scenes. This is one of those movies where at first people don't believe something is going on, and then they eventually discover that, oh yeah, something is actually going on, we're not just losing our minds. It's a slow burn that never goes anywhere. And of course, with a cliche-ridden movie like this, they have a research scene where Elliot goes to the school library and literally searches for the Bye Bye Man on a computer. Pretty riveting stuff, and the sequence goes on for like 10 minutes. And in the end, it only tells us a little more about stuff we already know and saw in the beginning of the movie. Again, all this could have been cut out or included the same information in maybe 2 lines of dialogue. If your horror movie is 2 hours long, it's gotta be tight and full of scares, not bogged down by pointless plot details. Alright, now let's talk about the Bye Bye Man himself. I actually don't think the villain itself is a bad idea, and the manipulating people to kill through hallucinations concept is interesting. Sort of like a play on the dream aspect of Nightmare on Elm Street. But BBM's fantasies are never as creative as any of Freddy's death. It's just stuff like Elliot thinks he hears his girlfriend and John having sex, and so Elliot hits John with a bat. And it turns out, of course, they aren't actually having sex, it was all BBM's doing. Shocker. Or like the scene we see in the trailer too, where John is in class randomly looking at his phone and there's just pictures of the Bye-Bye Man coming to get you. And now I don't think it's necessary or usually wise to explain all about the villain, but in this case, it's just confusing. We never find out anything about the BBM's deal at all, or why is he called the Bye-Bye Man, or anything at all. Why does he have a freaky flesh hound? What's the deal with all the coins he drops all over the place? I have no bloody idea. It's also weirdly specific that it feels like it needs more development, because all we know is it's just some evil guy in a hoodie with magic coins and a hell dog. Like, what the fuck? Plus, BBM is really not on screen much, so he doesn't have as much of an impact as he should in the movie. He is taking over the kids, but we don't see him do anything, just standing around occasionally. And that big moment glimpse in the trailer where BBM is about to touch Elliot, I was like, oh man, what's gonna happen? He never makes physical contact with anyone. And then when it happens, Elliot just sees more visions. I thought the touch would turn him into the Bye-Bye Man or something, anything. But it's just more of the same. So while I do actually like the idea of the Bye-Bye Man character, the execution on screen is severely lacking. All right, spoiler time. What happens in the end? Do the kids figure out how to stop that bad Bye-Bye Man? Nope. And it's pretty stupid how it goes down. Elliot seems to figure out a way to take back control when he's seeing the hallucinations. The BBM feeds on your fear. The more afraid you are, the more powerful his sway over you becomes. And Elliot is able to force himself to not be afraid and break free from the spell. And you're like, okay, cool. I guess that makes sense, sort of. So now he can not be afraid and take down the BBM once and for all. But then this concept is completely abandoned by the next scene. Elliot goes back to the house where Sasha and John are deep under BBM's control. They end up attacking each other and Elliot comes in to break them up. Elliot appears to be fighting with John and Elliot shoots him, but it's revealed that it was actually Sasha that he killed. Way to go, dude. Then the house catches on fire, and after a brief encounter with BBM, Elliot shoots himself. So at least everyone that knows the name is dead, and BBM has been stopped. But you know better with a movie like this, there's always one last twist for you. Somehow John survives the fire and tells Detective Trinity the BBM's name. Now it can start all over again. Hooray! So these characters' journeys are completely pointless. They don't find out anything to actually help them, even though a lot of the movie is exclusively devoted to that, and just wind up helpless victims of BBM like everyone else before them. That's it. What a waste. And for them to introduce the not being afraid concept only to forget about it completely minutes later is just plain lazy. Also, John is a complete puss for saying the name at the end. He's pretty much toast at this point. He should just keep his goddamn mouth shut. He knows the consequences of spreading the name and does it anyway, for no reason whatsoever other than them being able to keep BBM out there for a potential sequel. It's cheap and stupid. Obviously, I wasn't a fan of the movie. It just didn't have anything good about it at all. I really tried to give it a chance, but it wasn't remotely scary, had zero suspense, and the way the plot played out was way too long and just plain boring. The Bye-Bye Man himself is pretty good, but not fleshed out enough to be a new iconic villain. The kicker is, I saw the movie for free and I still couldn't enjoy it. I probably would have rioted in the theater if I paid $11 for this crap. But what did you guys think about the Bye-Bye Man? Were you as disappointed as me, or did you enjoy it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching Found Flicks. See you next time. Don't say it, don't see it!